Don't forget you can hear this show and all 5 of my shows on Westwood One early and ad-free over at adfreeshows.com. You also get incredible bonus content like, unbelievably, Tony Schiavone and I watching Tiger King. We did a hashtag Ask Tony Anything. And later this month, we'll review WrestleMania 36, the more controversial matches. Eric Bischoff talks about why he got fired from WWE most recently, and he hooks up with a professor to break down the psychology behind the Firefly Funhouse match, the more recent Money in the Bank match, and of course, the Boneyard match from WrestleMania with The Undertaker. But you also see a side of Eric you don't see on the main feed when he talks about his real-life relationship with Masa Saito when we revisit AWA Super Clash 4. We catch up with Jim Ross, and he tells everybody what he thinks about the new rash of WWE releases, and he breaks down what really happened on the plane ride from hell. And how about this? You can even watch an old episode of Mid-South Wrestling between the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express with JR giving you some extra behind-the-scenes content. Our main man, Bruce Pritchard, he's going to talk about WrestleMania 8 and so much more. Find all the bonus content plus all the old StarCast stage shows from StarCast 1, 2, 3, and 4, and a ton of other bonus content from the archives, all available now at adfreeshows.com. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to Grillin' JR with the voice of wrestling, Mr. Jim Ross. Jim, how are you, man?
I'm good, Conrad. I'm looking forward to the show today. It's about one of my favorite people that I've ever met, ever known, ever called matches for, Steve Dr. Death Williams, and should be a nice little journey looking back at the good doctor's career that I was there from. I mean, this is one of those literally, I was there before his career started. So it's going to be a fun trip down memory lane. Hope the fans will enjoy it as well. It certainly will give me pause to go back and try to catch some of Doc's matches on whether it be the WWE Network or YouTube or wherever you obtain your that type of material. So, but he was a really unique guy, especially in those UWF days when he was so young and just getting started wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, as they say. So it should be a fun show in that regard. Everything else in my life, Conrad, is good. I'm able to do what I'm doing and happy to get out of the house a little bit more, still being careful. And I need to get me one of those black masks, those coronavirus masks, the black one, maybe with a hat on it.
Oh, you know what? I think we could make that happen. We got to make that happen.
Well, we're going to be wearing these masks and doing these precautionary things, and the stock on Purell and all those hand sanitizers should be going up the roof because I don't think we'll ever get away from that now. The mask, maybe, but more than likely, the masks are still going to be prevalent. It's going to be kind of like going to Tokyo because, I used to wonder about that all the time when I go to Japan and see, a lot of people wear masks. And I just don't think it's going to go away, quite frankly. This coronavirus has changed everyone's life in some degree, some more than others, but it's changed their lives forever. We're never going to go back to what we were because of preventive measures. So maybe a black mask would not be a cool thing. It would match my hat. So anyway, it should be fun. It should be a fun. That'd be a fun little project, and we could sell those damn things, maybe.
Well, I know we're not going to have any trouble selling your book. The rave reviews continue to pour in. jrsbbq.com is where you can pick up yours. And as you pointed out last week, Jim, we're knee deep in grilling season now, man.
Be lying. Love it. For me, I'm a little, exception to the rule. I got some crab cakes from Jimmy's in Baltimore the other day, and that's the first time I used my oven since I got it. I bought a new oven. Stove, whatever you want to say. But I grill all the time. That's my escape. It's cathartic for me. You sit outside. I got a big TV out there in my outdoor kitchen. I can sit there and watch TV and not forget about what's grilling and get things burnt. So I'm a big grilling person. And we always have some great deals on sauces. The original barbecue sauce was my mother's recipe. In basically, and then Jan did some things and added to it, and so that's our number one seller, and it's really, really good. But barbecue sauce is like women. The worst I ever had was pretty damn good.
Oh gosh.
Well, so I love it. When you and I are together, when we can eat barbecue, to me that's a good deal. It's like tasting someone's wine from a specific vineyard. It's just not very refined. I'm a barbecue guy, so I appreciate all sauces. So we use that, and then the hot barbecue sauce is good. Got a little spice to it, a little personality. Chipotle ketchup. I discovered this in my isolation here. If you take our chipotle ketchup and you warm it in your microwave for like 15 seconds, this little ramekin or a little bowl or something, a small portion, it makes a phenomenal steak sauce. I mean, really, really badass. And that was just by accident. I just thought I'd try it and see what would happen, and it's wonderful. So if you don't want to put cold ketchup on your protein, warm it up. Warm it up. And then, of course, the number one, one of the top sellers we're having right now that's making a huge resurgence is the Main Event Mustard, which is JR's Main Event Mustard, is a jalapeno honey mustard. And it's got 1 gram of sugar. So for me, being diabetic too, that's an important condiment for me. And it's almost eliminated my, and I love mayo. I do. And I know the difference between mayonnaise and Miracle Whip. I get that too. I've got both. But I just don't use them much anymore. I became that mustard guy, and it just makes everything better. I cooked it the other day. I grilled some salmon. And at the end of the process, about a minute or two before I took the salmon off the grill, I did a drizzle of the mustard. Amazing. It's a nice dressing, so to speak, that doesn't kill you on calories, fat, all those things. So it's good. And all my products are gluten free. So not a bad thing. JRSBBQ.com, and we're selling about 25 or 30 books a day. It's amazing. So I didn't know how long this offer is going to last, but hell, there's no reason to take it off. Just if people are still buying it and they're enjoying it, I'm going to keep it up there. We're going to continue to sell books so we can personalize the autograph and pay for the shipping in the lower 48 states and get all the whole package. So it's pretty good. Life is pretty good, Conrad. And I know your business. Every time I see an ad on the TV about people refinancing a loan, I think of your company because I know you're doing a tremendous amount of that right now. And it's something that people should think about. If this will give you if refinancing gives you some relief and returns some money to you, hell, it's a no-brainer, right?
It is. And I'm glad you mentioned that. We've been helping a lot of our mutual friends out lately, and we'd be glad to help you as well. SaveWithConrad.com. Go ahead and take a little spring break from house payments, get a better interest rate, pay your house off faster, consolidate some debt, whatever you're looking for. SaveWithConrad.com is where you need to be. But really, we're glad you're with us right now because we're celebrating a pretty special occasion today. I had this date circled way back when we first started recording the podcast. Today would have been Dr. Death's 60th birthday. Born May 14th, 1960, Steve Williams, right there in Lakewood, Colorado. He attended Lakewood High School in Colorado, graduated in 78. He's the youngest of 4 children. He was on the track and field team. He played football, of course. He wrestled all 4 years. And then eventually he would go on to graduate from the University of Oklahoma in 81 after a football career where, of course, he was named an All-American. He also competed as an amateur wrestler. He's a 4-time All-American there, finishing 6th as a freshman, 5th as a sophomore, 3rd as a junior, and 2nd as a senior. His older brother, Jeff, was a starting tight end and convinced Williams coming out of high school that, maybe he should come to Oklahoma. He's the most heavily recruited offensive lineman in the country. So why not? He starts every game in 1982 for the Sooners at right guard. He's named to the All-8 first team, played in the 83 Fiesta Bowl. He's also a member of the Sooners 1980 Orange Bowl and 81 Sun Bowl squads. He played both guard positions while at OU, a starting offensive guard on the football team, and a lead blocker for Heisman Trophy candidates Billy Sims and Marcus Dupree. And ESPN even did a 30 for 30 on Marcus Dupree a few years ago, and they brought him back into the national conversation. But either way, we could go on and on. This guy is one of the most decorated amateur athletes, and he's right in your backyard of Oklahoma. So it makes sense that y'all eventually become fast friends.
Yeah, I grew up as a major, just like you did with Alabama. A lot of folks can identify, whether it be their European soccer team, football teams, I should say, excuse me, mates, or your favorite college team, pro team. We all got these allegiances, which is one of the things we miss about sports. I don't think people fully realize. We've got separation anxiety. We love it. Right now is the time to be talking about spring. Get out. The spring football should just have been ending. The spring games should have been played. The anticipation builds, but we got nothing. We don't even know if we're going to have a season this year. And certainly, it stands to reason, if you're not going to have students in the classroom because of the virus and the restrictions that it brings with it, then if no students, no football. So hopefully these vaccines and these things that they're talking about developing will be developed sooner than later, and we can have some football. Dr. Death, Steve Williams was the number one recruited, number one rated offensive lineman in the United States his senior year in high school. And his brother Jeff was a little bit older than him, and that was a package deal. I've talked to Coach Switzer about this a few times. Coach Barry Switzer was his head coach. And Doc was the target. They wanted Doc very badly. And, of course, they had Stan Abel, the wrestling coach, very charismatic. And he wanted Doc to wrestle. Pardon me. So Doc was just a natural brute. The thing about Doc was he got that nickname, by the way, in high school. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, he got a broken nose. Or a cheekbone or something, but something broke in his face in competition. And so he wore like a hockey goalie's mask type apparatus to protect his injury. And some local reporter said he looked like Dr. Death because he had the mask on. He's scary looking, and Steve was a big guy, so all that stuff. So he was a highly recruited football player. And then, lo and behold, he's 19 years old, becoming an All-American in wrestling, and playing on the football team. I think Doc actually played in 4 bowl games, so he had a good run there at OU, and was a hell of a great starter on some really good teams. So that's how that went. And Stan Abel, the wrestling coach, who went to high school with Cowboy Bill Watts, and wrestled at OU with Watts. Way back in the day, he was the catalyst of getting Cowboy to, hey, you got to meet this kid. This big, our big heavyweight could be something in your business, et cetera, et cetera. So we met Doc, I believe, at the beginning of his junior year in college, Cowboy and I, and I was just tagging along, still sitting under the learning tree. But boy, I became fast friends with Steve. His age difference was with Cowboy was a little bit more significant, but mine wasn't. We weren't. I was 8 years older than him, so we're kind of the same generation in that respect. So he was always on the radar since his junior year in college, and then after his junior year in college is when Cowboy signed him to a contract to come to work for Mid-South Wrestling. And I remember the coaches saying, don't let him eat too much because we don't want him to be 330, low threes. Okay. So I remember that very vividly, and he was just a natural, Conrad. And that's the thing about recruiting athletes or recruiting guys in team sports. The reason I always did that, I think people just thought I was, crazy for football, which I am kind of crazy for football. But bottom line is you get a guy that's been in a team environment. They've been in locker rooms. They've coexisted with their peers and their teammates. And they understand about setting goals, and they know how to push themselves. Can you imagine going from a bowl game and all the glitz and glamour of a bowl game to going back into the isolation of a wrestling room?
No.
And he did it. Pardon me. He did it every year he's in college. He did he'd go from football immediately right into wrestling. So sometimes in the early part of the season, he wasn't as good as he was at the end of the season when he got back in wrestling shape. There's 2 different conditions there. So he had everything you wanted. He's just imposing. And the thing that Doc always impressed me about Doc, one of the things, his amazing flexibility. He could do splits and he could do things at 300 pounds that the guys aren't supposed to be able to do. He just was very, very gifted athletically. And so it's no wonder that he had such an outstanding career that should have been better without a few shots to the feet and some bad decisions. It could have been better. All of us could be better.